and pass the cake out while we're having this history lesson. And then we're going to ask Nancy if she will pass out the little Dixie cups, Nancy, for the kids and any adults that might want them. And that'll be your little treat while you're having this history lesson. And then Donna will, when this is completed, will ask the 2 individuals from each family to join Chuck Kuchar for a quick interview. Are there any items that anyone here would like to comment on or would like to talk about before we disperse? I'm a little nervous that after this is over, that's what you'll do. Bonnie? We'd like to find out in this room right now today who's the oldest and who's the youngest. So let's take a little quick guess. Sarah, who is it?
I'm the oldest, I think.
All right, Sarah is probably the oldest. Are you willing, Colonel, to tell us how old?
Oh, I don't mind a bit. I'm 86, almost 87.
We got somebody older.
My cousins will be 90.
Okay, back in the back of the room. We got Winifred Baldwin, who is 90 years old. So I want you to take Tessa Carroll back with Mrs. Ball. Howard, tell us how old.
She was born May 1st. She's 3 months old, and she is the great-granddaughter of Billy and Garrett.
She's a great-granddaughter of Sophronia, Billy Garrett. Thank you, Ronnie. That's great. That's the oldest and the youngest. Okay, here goes the lesson. This is the 100th Abbott reunion, July 27th, 2008. This tells you a little bit about what's on your disc. You're going to have photos, a GetCom for genealogy. You're going to see today's slideshow. There's going to be some obituaries, newspaper clippings. There's going to be some entries from Brett Abbott's Bible. And then if you do not have access to genealogy software, there's going to be a free software packet on the clipping. And again, let me remind you that this will take place on a PowerPoint. You can stop it anywhere. This is an aerial view of Highland Forest. And this was taken not long ago. So you can see the density and you can see that this is part of where we are today. Now, if you can recognize any of these ball babies, that's good because we've got them marked in a book, but Dick Garrett is not paying attention. Paul Garrett's sucking his thumb. Jane is crying. Harvey has got his britches halfway down, and Arlington Garrett's trying to get them together. Well, there they are right there. Look at Harvey's britches. Hoisted just as high as they did they get dressed up. Now, this is 1905, and this is the second reunion that the Abbotts had, and it's our understanding that they were held at, would be my great-grandfather and great-grandmother's home, George and Sophronia Abbotts. And we have pictures of these on the table and in the album as well. And again, the second reunion. That's one of the reunions that was held at the Jacoby House. This is the 31st reunion. Here are the girls all dressed up in their finery. Can you imagine all of you coming dressed up like that to this reunion? I doubt it. This is the famous Grange Hall. This is where they had the 42nd Abbott reunion. And this is Fred Abbott and his siblings. That's the cake from our 95th. Here's some crazy people running their mouths. We tried taking a photo that day and we got quite a few in. And if you notice the tree behind you, that's the tree that no longer exists but is similar to what Dick has done for us today. This tells about the Abbott reunion, and this was August 1916. And here's Sarah and Edith fighting. Gladys is trying to pray, and Susan's taking notes and not having a clue what she's doing. These are some letters that we found that were in a portion of the Bible. This is some of the genealogy. I don't think you can see it from there, but if you get up closer at some point, you'll see where Caroline was called Carrie and Caroline Sophronia, and we're curious if that's her trunk. This just quickly shows the portions of genealogy. And now begins the family tree that Bill and Joanne have done. I understand it's difficult for you to see any of that, but believe you me, it's a beautiful job. On the left-hand side, you see George, and below Sophronia. Those are their photos. This is what he means by adding pictures to the genealogy. Anyone can add anything they want to it. Here's a little bit about when they were born, married, and deceased. George was born in Homer and died in Shenango. Now, Sophronia, interestingly enough, was down in Tripoli, and we call that still Tripoli, and died in Homer. This takes George's family tree along its route, and then we go to Nathan and Daniel. Just this last week, Sarah and a gentleman by the name of Courtney Tucker and I spent quite a few hours trying to figure out if we had anyone who was a descendant of the Civil War. We believe we have a Revolutionary War Abbott, but at this point we cannot prove that we do not have a Civil War Abbott. We're hoping that we'll come up with that detail and we'll let you know. Then each individual family tree begins with Dwayne, and that takes you through the Skeel side, the Rowley side, the Cross side. So you see we're pretty much a mixed up mess. Here's the Garrett family tree. And these are the trees that you can follow and take these discs and make and add on to. So you'll see George, Nathan, Zebediah, Daniel, another George. There were quite a few Georges. They liked that name for some reason. And then they all had descendants of the Chandlers, so you just are never sure who you're involved with. Then you'll see how some of the software works. There's a listing of all of the Abbotts that they put on in the Bushes and the Chandlers and the Roods and all of those that we're descended from and a part of. You won't believe it until you see it. These are a few things that were in Fred Abbott's Bible that we found and were given to us. We've only been able to document what's been given, so if you have things that you would like us to share and have, this particular letter was handwritten and made, and we're not sure by whom, but Leon Abbott was 14 years old when he died, and this was a beautifully written letter to Fred and Addie Abbott. Now, if you'll notice, Wilson Abbott, this is down in Cortland, and this is where it all began. In 1836 is the best that we can figure, and Louis Luzerne, wasn't that an interesting middle name, lived where that plot of land is and the arrow is. And this is taken from the 1863 East Homer map. Then you'll find the George Abbott farm. Now, I was extremely fascinated with this barn. I just can't stop looking at it. To me, having had this size barn built that many years ago had to be amazing. It was located on the East River Road in Cortland, or Homer. Is that Cortland, Sarah, or Homer? Cortland. But isn't that one big barn for back then? That was amazing to me. This is the inside of that barn. That's a lot of cows and one long barn. Here's Sophronia, and she's who we're celebrating along with her husband today, and this is why we're all here. Now take a look at George's hair. I don't think there's anybody here that's got that crop of head. I know. A little closer up look of them. That's what we have on the discs. And there's Sophronia again. Now, I could put one of the Garretts on, but we've heard the story ourselves. And poor Sophronia. Sophronia was not the most popular name in the world. And why in God's name they used it for a middle name and then switched and gave it a real name when Sophronia, our Aunt Billy, as she was known, hated the name Sophronia. And you should never, ever call her that. But this is who she was named after. Now, it wasn't all that bad, I didn't think. Now, here's the start of the family, but boy, did they add on after this was taken. Again, take a look at the way they dressed. Pretty fancy clothing. This identifies each one of them. Now, if you'll notice, right smack almost in the middle, where you'll see A. Sherman, G.A. Abbott, and then you'll see Fred Abbott. Now, Fred must have decided to buy 10 acres of land down there alongside of Walter Abbott, who was just below him. So you'll see little square blocks. Those are their homes. And then you'll see little dotted arrows. So his house was maybe across the road in that little box. And Fred probably was not married and decided to farm along with Walter for a while. And then he met Addie, and up on Kenyon Hollow he did come. And there they are. That's Fred and Addie. There's Gladys Lorenz. That was her first job. Doesn't she look lovely? She had to dress up for that job. Now there's Fred and his siblings that we just introduced you to through the photograph. But if you look to your right, Paul Garrett's trying to pull his britches up. Harvey's trying to take his down. And some kid doesn't even want to be at the darn reunion. So I'm not sure what that is, but and here are this is that same 31st reunion, I believe, that was held at the same spot. And these are all family members. This is at the Grange Hall. And here are a portion of the same siblings. And this was, I believe, Fred Abbott's birthday, and I think, and they were having a little party, so that's part of the siblings there. Here's 4 generations. That's Jim Underwood in the background, Jim's mom, Marion, Julie, who is here with us today on her lap, and Grandpa Fred. Here's another family portrait, that same reunion. And again, here are the men. This is another reunion, a little faded there. And here they are, kind of together. And this is, this goes back to 1905, I believe, the second or first or second. This is the 42nd Abbott reunion. Sisters, brothers, let's all get together. This is Fred Abbott doing maple syrup at the Skeel Farm. Here are some of Fred's children. Now we're up on Highland Park and we're in Kenyon Hollow. Ralph Abbott is in this picture, and the teacher, I have pictures of her up on the table, and she was a crop. And you will see those as you walk around the room and study. But some of these pictures were taken or were borrowed from the Historical Society so that we could get a good feel. But imagine that one-room schoolhouse right there. How would you kids like to be part of that? Woo! You'd be putting the wood in the old stove. The way oil prices are, we better get right back to it. Now that's bald baby Nancy Garrett right there. She goes, would you please put my picture up? Yeah, all right. That's Ed Henry. That's taken on the Rowley farm. This is Clifford Abbott, and we asked the Sweetlands to be with us today. And of course, as most of you know, Dale is running for Congress. They're extremely busy, and so they weren't able to be with us. But when Grandpa came down off of Arab Hill or Kenyon Hollow and came to the flats where farming was much better, they bought the Sweetland farm. And when you came to Highland Forest today, you went by what is known now as the Sweetland farm on your left-hand side. It is now owned by the Inkst family, and they farm it. But when Dad left, when Grandpa left and moved to Fabius in the village, Uncle Clifford, his son Clifford, bought the farm and farmed it there before he went to Pompey Center. And that's Clifford and a team of his horses. Here's Ralph Abbott and one of his sons, Malcolm. Malcolm has since deceased, as well as Uncle Ralph. Now this is the Abbott. There's Carl and John Abbott, and this was a wedding, and that we're pleased to have because we don't have too many of the George and Ken Abbott photos, so we're excited. We don't know who this little tyke is, but we've got 4 or 5 pictures. This is down in Fabius in the village at Grandpa Fred Abbott's home, and we just are not sure who this is. So this is Edna Abbott with a girlfriend, and that's noted on the back of the picture. Here's a before and after picture. This is Dr. Grundy, who used to be the doctor in Fabius, next to Arlington, or next to not Arlington, Garrett, but yes. Is it Arlington? All right, this is a before and after picture, and Dick Garrett's down the bottom. So this is before and after. In the very same spot. Very same spot. This is the Garrett home and farmstead, before and after. Now, Dina French happens to be marked with a notation there, and that was Arlington Garrett's mother. Here is the Apulia foundation, one-room schoolhouse. And way over to the left, standing kind of by himself because they were grades, I don't know, 4 through 12 or something, is Dwayne Steele. There's Dwayne on the left and Edna on the right. Cute little thing, isn't she? Here's a before and after picture of the Garrett homestead. Isn't it amazing what transformation? See if they took that roof or took that porch in the lines on the roofing, it makes it all look different up on top. This was in Apulia station where the homestead of Dwayne Steele and the boys, they had a fire here not too long ago. Now this happens to be, boy help me, Joanne, this is the Fabius Pompey Newell Rowley homestead, and the Fabius Pompey school system sits on your right. And that is gone now. But that's the Newell Rowley farm and home. There's another shot. And now the school sits to your right as you go through the village. This is Harvey and Gloria Steele's home. This used to be the Raleigh home for years, and then Edna and Dwayne Steele added and built onto it. But this is the original pioneer home that Josiah Moore built. Now Harvey lives there. There's Edna and Dwayne on their wedding day in the Fabius United Methodist Church. Arlington Garrett and Edna Abbott. I think they had something up about Billy. This is the Harry Abbott farm in Locke, New York. Harry and Delia Abbott. I have lots of fond memories of that. This is Margaret Underwood. This is Marion Abbott and Carrie Henry. This is, who is it, Sarah? I'm blank. And we have lots of pictures of her as well. Here is Carrie Henry and Gail Parks Lovell and Gail's grandmother in the ring. This is on. Who was that?
They both were, I thought they were two oldest ladies at the wedding. I don't believe it. That's my grandmother. I thought they were both.
All right, well then we got to decide who's who. I know
Right.
Carrie's on the left of me and Gail's in the middle of that. That's about all I can tell you for sure.
Is it Linda?
Hello. That's, we got to figure out who No, that's not Delia. No. I've got it marked somewhere, we'll figure it out. There's Clifford, Abbott up on top to the left, and Dwayne Steele down the front, along with Wayne Alcott, People Lambert, and George D. Young. This is some of the Fred Abbott crew. Little Billy, better known as Sophronia down the front. Grandpa, Blanche on Fred's lap. Edna May with a great big bow. Ralph, Clifford in the back, and Marion to the left, and Ralph to the right. And here's a new little born baby, and I cannot remember who that baby is. That's Brad Schilling. There you go. That's Grandma Gladys holding Brad Schilling. There's Marion Abbott. Isn't she a cutie patootie? And there's Billy and Gladys, sisters. They're probably fighting about something. Oh, they made up here. Thank goodness. And this is little baby Leon that passed away in his early life. And this is taken, this is the Gill family, and this is taken down on Fred Abbott's porch downtown. And they are just so darn cute. Look at the little hat. How about that? There's Edna all dressed up. We don't know where she was going, but there's Carrie and Ed Henry. And we said, my goodness, Aunt Carrie, those are lovely grapefruit. Now, does anyone know who this is?
Danny McKay.
There you go. And it took me a while to remember who that was. I had to study the picture a while. And now this is the Eleanor Abbott Gill family. And this is another little reunion, and Edna not paying attention, and Lean down in the corner. There's Clifford. Fred and Addie, we'll just keep moving right along. Here's Florence Abbott. Here's some more siblings and another reunion. They just like to get together here. There's Lucille and Jim. Here's the little Gill boy. He loved being around Uncle Ed. And there's a little Christmas party. Cute little socks. She even knew how to play violin. There's Margaret Underwood. There's Leon, Charlie Shea, and his wife Mary. I'm not sure why. And there's George and Harry. Harry's on my left, George on my right. They were brothers and they farmed it together. And there's Marion. Now, it's our understanding that this is could be Marion Abbott, and it's up here in Kenyon Hollow. We're pretty sure that this is the house. This is back down at the Grange Hall. This is another reunion. This is in front of Grandma and Grandpa Fred Abbott's home. And that's the end of the story. So this now will be played on a continuous basis, and you're welcome to come up and have them go to any particular picture. And if any of you, many of your families have other photos that you would like added or that you can give to us that you want to share, we'll be happy to do it. I invite you to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Safe journey home. God bless. And wait a minute, we got one more announcement.